Well, good morning, everyone. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It is finally Friday, June 7th, 2019, 50 degrees outside, and I've got two weather backups to back me up. So ready to go, Shane, on this weather thing.
You
we had
want to be
people.
double right today, Mayor. You can't be right. You got to be doubly right.
Shane Matavin on the line in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox. We're here every day, every weekday anyway, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking thanks for taking us, I guess, along with you, wherever you're going this morning. So we're happy to start our day with you. And, well, our weather, Shane, rain. They put snow back in the forecast for about an hour overnight from 4 to 5 a.m. because it's going to get down to about 35 degrees. So I don't know, you might wake up with a slight dusting of snow on your grass, but I don't think it's going to be anything serious. So,
Easter morning, instead of waking up to eggs, it'll be snow.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we got about an 80 to 90% chance of rain almost all day today. So it should start any time now, 9 or 10 o'clock, somewhere in there. And then it'll keep going into Saturday, tapering off Saturday afternoon. We're looking for a high of 50 degrees today, overnight low of 34. As I said, might pump a little snow in there. 52 on Saturday, low of 33, so that'll also help with the snow. And Sunday, though, of course, we're back to a little more normal, 62 on Sunday, mostly sunny. And Monday, 68 and cloudy. Thursday, a little warmer. We're back to 70 and partly cloudy. Then 76 on Wednesday and mostly sunny. And then, of course, for the weekend, here come the thunderstorms and the rain and everything back again for your enjoyable weekend. So it's just going to be nonstop fun in Bozeman over the weekend. So there you are. So, yeah, Friday, well, let's see, Thursday, 78 will be the high. That'll be the last good day. And then Friday, scattered thunderstorms move in, at least a 50% more chance of thunderstorms. Saturday, 75, and Sunday, 77 will be the forecast to round out our week. And temperatures right now around the area, Livingston is 52 degrees, and Manhattan is 47. Three Forks is 46. Gallatin Gateway is 47. Ennis is 48. Big Sky is 46. And at the airport in Belgrade, it's 48 degrees right now. And at 9 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., it is 50 degrees right here in beautiful downtown Bozeman. Our lavishly appointed studios, which are pretty much the same as they were 25 years ago when I moved here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
except the walls. The walls have been painted. That's the only.
Is it a mobile home that you're in?
Yeah. I'm Art Bell. I'm right outside Area 51 in a mobile home.
That's right.
Sitting here. There goes something I haven't seen before over the top of me.
Every time Jeff walks in, he's swing. What? Is this licensed?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is this a legal radio station or what? Is this some kind of pirate deal?
Exactly.
Well, that's why we're here. I mean, we're professionals. Come on. Yeah, right. All right. Well, let's see. What's happening today, boy? It's a pretty boring day in history, Shane.
Well, Louis the 13th. He dies another emperor.
I think that's Louis the 14th, but that's okay.
14th. I'm sorry, you're right. I can't count the bars.
I know those Roman numerals confuse you, don't they?
Yeah. He dies 76 years old, reigned 71 years, and the only thing to mention about him was this: the Franco-Dutch War, the War of the League of Augsburg, the War of the Spanish Succession. Yeah. The War of Devolution and the War of Reunion. So that's it.
Okay. Moving on. All right. 1776. This is a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Richard Henry Lee of Virginia proposed to the Continental Congress a resolution calling for a, say it with me, Declaration of Independence.
That's right. Him and Thomas Jefferson were both from Virginia, very good friends, both professional farmers.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, plantations of Virginia weren't as large as the ones farther south. So,
Yeah.
they didn't just grow cotton. They actually commercially grew other crops,
Mm-hmm.
and but that's what he was remembered for, and part of the Continental Congress, and he was pro temp of the Congress of Confederation. But a great Virginian,
Yeah.
he got up there and fought like everyone else.
Henry Lee says, I'm not going to write it. You write it.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Don't count on me.
Tom says, all right, geez, I'll knock it out for you.
Well, he actually volunteered.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He did. He volunteered Thomas Jefferson, because Thomas Jefferson just sat there and never said anything.
Yeah. Well, in 1848, some painter was born in Paris, and unless you got something to say about that painter, I'm going on.
Well, it was impressionist, post-impressionist, Paul Gauguin.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, what's his claim? What's his claim to fame besides he's a painter? Is he a house painter or is he artist or what?
He was.
Did he paint post-impressionist houses?
You're interested in painting? Yeah. Go ahead. Move on. He was.
All right. Well,
but he influenced Pablo Picasso. They were good friends.
Well, good. Well, good for him. He's dead. We don't care.
That's right. Yeah. But his paintings are very expensive.
That's right. Well, long before Rosa Parks refused to go to the back of the bus in 1892, Homer Plessley was arrested when he refused to leave a whites-only train car in New Orleans. And the case led to the U.S. Supreme Court's landmark separate but equal decision in Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, 4 years later.
And the importance of this is, once again, we have an example of your Supreme Court establishing precedent and law in your country that ended up being reversed.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing about the Supreme Court can't reverse itself,
Yep.
like people are saying about Roe versus Wade, it's pretty much based in law.
Settled law. Yeah, it's settled law. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this is an example where settled law isn't always settled.
Yeah.
So
We should ask Jennifer about that when she comes in at 8:00.
This is the third case like this that
I know. Yeah.
She doesn't like me bringing it up, so I don't know how to do that.
Well, you don't need to read the whole case. Just
no. I'm just listeners out there. If anyone says anything about Roe versus Wade being reversed, just go Plessy and Ferguson.
Yeah, there you go, Plessy and Ferguson. Yeah. Well, what Brown versus Board of Education changed that law is one of them anyway. That.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, the separate but equal. Yeah.
As Tom said, this was separate but equal. And, basically meaning that, you could segregate everybody, but they had to have. One couldn't be an outhouse and the other one have running water, right?
Yeah. And you get your own fountain, your own water fountain.
And with a sign, black only.
That's right. Yeah. So there you are. So talk about equal. Amen. 1929, Vatican City became a sovereign state as copies of the Lateran Treaty were exchanged in Rome.
And this is important in 1929 after World War I, and that is because up until this time, Italy didn't exist. It was all city-states. And the city-states owned areas outside, Rome was a city-state, Vatican, and so on. So when under this treaty, the Vatican seized upon the opportunity to remain a city-state. The population, 110 acres. That's like 44 hectares.
I know,
That's like Clint's backyard.
Well, if you want to put an acre is about the size of a football field without the end zone. So if you want to put it in, it's about 44 football fields big. So
no, 110.
110 football fields big. Sorry. Yeah. So.
And a population of, 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we should send them some of our immigrants. They could use some.
Who mows that place anyway? all the bishops out there with their little hand mowers going to it?
Yeah, I don't know, but I bet he's dressed in black.
I would bet. All right. Yeah. Well, in 1939, King George VI arrived at Niagara Falls, New York from Canada. Of course, he snuck in from Canada on the first visit to the U.S. by a reigning monarch. So,
Yes, he snuck in by going over the Niagara Falls in a barrel.
Yeah.
So
All right.
nobody saw him coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was the father of Elizabeth II,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the last emperor of India, and he was the first head of the Commonwealth, the head of the Commonwealth nation that his daughter had impressed upon him to create and set up. And he working with his daughter, who would be queen and did.
Yep.
But yeah, he died regrettably from cancer, and took the throne from his brother, who gave it up for a woman. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to keep my dresser for a woman, right?
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah. I look at the throne. I look at her.
Yeah, exactly.
I look at the bank account. I look at her.
The cars, the home, the artwork, and somebody dressing me every day. Wow.
There you are. Yeah, I can't beat that. I don't know. Oh, man. 1981, Israel military planes destroyed a nuclear power plant in Iraq, a facility the Israelis charge could have been used to make nuclear weapons.
Yeah, it's amazing thing. Okay, so it's called Operation Opera, and the Israelis, you push them to the wall, and the wall comes tumbling down.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you say? They went in and they took it out. Of course, June 7th, 1981. Think about that. That's Reagan's first year, 6 months in, and he stood by him, and that was it. The Russians, nobody did anything. They were, oh my God.
I know. We're okay. Keep going. We got to take a quick break here. We got to take care of the cab drivers, farmers, and ranchers, and all the other folks out there. We got the Headwaters Livestock Report as well, and some other stuff. So we'll be right back with more stimulating conversation right after this. 23 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Friday, June 7, 2019, 50 degrees outside. Shane Matavin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor in the house. And you are listening to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Hey, don't forget our poll of the day today. What's your favorite legal movie? What's your favorite legal movie? We've got 5 choices over there. I limited the choices to actual in-courtroom dramas. So there there's movies like The Firm where, Tom Cruise never shows up in court, but the whole thing is based on whatever. And so
I bet it was a Tom Cruise movie that you put in there.
Well, actually, I did put a Tom Cruise movie in there, Few Good Men.
That's right. Well, that's the best.
I was going to say that was a courtroom movie. My Cousin Vinny's in there. That was also a good. That was a great courtroom movie. The Rainmaker in there also. 12 Angry Men took place in the jury room, but I put that as James well. Stewart. Anatomy of a Murder. That was James Stewart. 12 Angry Men was the guy
from Montana.
Yeah. No, it wasn't from Montana. It's not Gary Cooper.
Gary Cooper? I thought it was James Stewart then.
No, James Stewart was in Anatomy of the Murder, but no.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, whatever. Let's go on.
All right. So, anyway, check that out. You can go over and vote at KMMSAM.com or on your smartphone at AM 1450 KMMS. So check it out. Go there and vote and let us know what your favorite is. And you can put in your own choice too. So there you are.
Oh, well,
right.
Thank you.
Yeah. 1998 on this date, James Byrd Jr., a 49-year-old African-American man, was chained to a pickup truck and dragged to death in Jasper, Texas. And I think they got the 2 guys that did that. And, where the 3 guys did it. Okay. So, but this is a crime where the punishment should fit the crime. I think these 3 guys should be dragged to death. If you're going to do that. That's a nasty way to go. Dragged by a pickup truck. I mean, come on.
It really was. Sean Berry lives in prison for life. Lawrence Brewer and John King were both executed by lethal injection.
All right. Well, good for them. Lethal injection is too good. So anyway, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. Say, yesterday was the D-Day.
D-Day, yeah.
There's a little interesting information about World War II is that it was the last just war America was in.
It was the last
declared war. It was just war, he said.
I
war.
just didn't hear him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. You're right. Yeah.
Right. It was a war that the entire country was in.
Right.
Like our women were in it, our children were in it.
Yep.
The home front was at battle with the Axis powers as well as the boys on the line.
Right.
And we haven't had that since.
No.
And
one reason we haven't had it since is the Geneva Convention. That we, as a Vietnam vet, I will tell you that, even though we didn't always obey, when we came in contact with people, we were supposed to not shoot till we were shot at. And, that was part of the Geneva Convention. We couldn't drop nuclear bombs on Vietnam or Hanoi, and end this thing in about 2 minutes. But,
right.
Yeah, there were things that in the Geneva Convention made the Korean War and the Vietnam War, I think, were the first politically correct wars. And that was the problem. That's the problem with them, that you couldn't win. There's no way to win.
Well, and I think
it has to be a declared war for the Geneva Convention to be in effect.
Yeah. So.
But I think that's maybe why we didn't declare victory during those campaigns.
Right.
But it has nothing to do really with it being just.
Well, we still got a truce with Korea. We got a truce with Vietnam. That's what we came away with.
Yeah, but it wasn't really that significant. But the people weren't behind it.
No, they weren't.
Country, what's that?
They weren't. I can tell you personally, they weren't behind when we were there.
Right.
Wait a second, Tom. There was always someone behind you when you were there.
Well, my mother maybe, but.
Oh, come on. Someone had you 6. You know that.
Right. It just kind of sucked that that the whole society didn't get behind it.
Yeah.
Which means that it was a political action. It had nothing to do with our freedoms or liberty or oppression of other people. It was an entire political action that was the media, I think, had a big role to play in that as well.
Because the Vietnam War was the first war that came into our living rooms. We got to see firsthand what was going on, and
that needs to be made illegal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that whole Geneva Convention. We need to go to war with Geneva and end that.
There you are. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I'm up against the bottom of the hour. Take it easy. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks a lot. All right. We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay tuned. 23 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, June 7th, 2019. 49 degrees outside. We're heading in the wrong direction, Shane. We're going down instead of up. Not sure what's going on here. Well, Shane, I don't know if you are aware. We have a restaurant in town. It's called the Fork and Spoon Homestyle Kitchen. And this is a place for people to eat, those who could pay full price and those who otherwise may not get a meal. You pay what you think you can pay.
Wow.
And
very cool.
And it's been open for I think it's been open since around 2012, but each day they serve $870 worth of food on average, and out of that they collect roughly about $110. So I think people are. It's a space where there aren't socioeconomic barriers. You can go in and dine and have no idea who's paying and who's not paying, and it doesn't really matter, they say. But we really tried hard when we started to market ourselves as a pay-for-what-you-can cafe. No matter what, it still got branded as a soup kitchen. So I think that's probably the stigma there, that a lot of people think if you're seen there, you're poor, so they don't go and get a good meal and pay a fair price for it. I mean, I would certainly have no problem eating there and have in the past, but it's a sad state, I think, when we label things incorrectly, as this restaurant has been. You're supporting, the HRDC, the Human Resources Development Council, runs it, and I think people should go in there and make up that difference.
And support it.
Yeah, there are plenty of people out there who, go out to eat on a probably a regular basis. Some multiple times a week. Sometimes every night, depending on who you are and what you like. Maybe you don't like to cook at home, so you worked hard all day. You don't want to go home and slave over a stove and make a meal, so you go out.
And you know what, whatever it is you are eating, you have some idea of what it is and what it'll cost from eating at other places.
Well, so, sure, yeah.
Instead of costing you $15, say at Denny's, you go in and have the same thing and leave 10. Right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd say leave 20. Leave them a tip too.
Well, I know, but I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I'm a good tipper.
Well, my second comment was going to be, or to accept the gift of something being given and leave a tip or a tip.
Yeah.
Sure. For $10, $20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then write it off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. Always write it off if you can. Thank you.
Yeah. Leave 20, get a receipt and write it off.
That's right. 19 minutes before the top of the hour. We got to take a little break here. We'll be right back. 16 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, June 7th, 2019. And Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. And Tommy Galop, your morning mayor, in the house. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Well, bad news, Shane. The job report came out.
I know.
And we're looking at the U.S. economy added 75,000 non-farm payrolls in March, compared with the expectation of 180,000. So
yeah, well, we know why. Yeah, no, but we know why. The Midwest is covered in 3 feet of water.
Well, this is non-farm payroll, though.
Oh, I know, but it's still.
Well, it still affects. Yeah, it still affects. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's no building. There's no work. There's no. Yeah, there's you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I think it's like 40% of your country's under 3 feet of water.
Yeah. Well, the unemployment rate, though, held steady at 3.6%, and they're concerned that the expansion may be running out of steam. But I kind of agree with you. I think part of it has to be laid in the Midwest with all the disasters that they've had there, and even with the $16 billion subsidy they approved the other day, But trade tensions, too, put businesses on edge in recent weeks, with people are curtailing their hiring a little bit because they're unsure of what these tariffs are going to do and how they're going to affect anything, if they will at all. I mean, it's a natural fear, Shane. It's fear of the unknown. So,
okay, I'll tell you a story real quick. Mm-hmm. So, on television, you see all these things for sale for $19.95.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have them all here, obviously. Go to it, and there's a store in there. I won't name the store, but they sell all the things you can buy on TV for the same price.
Yeah.
And you get like 10% off if you join and give them your phone number to text you stuff.
Okay.
So I went in there to get one of those, look at those copper covers for the barbecue.
Yep.
And it's $19.95. They wanted $14.50. Mm-hmm. And it was the last one on the wall. And I said, "Oh, are you out of these?" And she goes, "Yeah, they're sending more in. Is the price going up?" She said, "No." Guess where it's made? China.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, yeah.
Well, folks, it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, they're not going to increase prices. You just wait and see.
Well, they're not going to increase prices on things like that because there's a high margin on stuff like that.
There is a high margin on everything that comes from China.
Let's talk about Mexico for, I was listening to a guy on the television this morning who has authentic Mexican food. So he's got to get authentic Mexican stuff from China, from Mexico.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. So he's got, he can't say I've got authentic Mexican food if he's buying his avocados in California.
Well, you can say, yes, he can. It's an authentic recipe. It's an authentic Mexican recipe. Authentic Mexican food.
Well, but it's not made. It's not grown in Mexico. It's not authentic.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be. Food's got to be labeled, right, where it's made.
All right.
Now, come on. You were in the restaurant business. Are you going to tell me that you would scam your customers and tell them you had authentic bison when you had Costco hamburgers and you put a little spice in them to make them taste a little different and call them bison burgers?
No, I use kangaroo meat.
Well, okay. Well, but was it authentic kangaroo meat?
Well, it tastes like bison. It's real lean. It's very good.
All right. I don't know. From our text line, 478-8298. But interest rates are going to go down because of it, which is a good thing. So if you're borrowing money and if you're retiring, not so good, I guess. So. And let's see, my favorite movie has not been made yet. I agree with the Eagles. Kill all the lawyers. Kill them tonight. Okay, there you are. Well, I'll let Jennifer Bordy know about that you sent that one.
Let that guy know that Shakespeare said it first. So,
that's right. Shakespeare.
He's plagiarizing.
Yeah,
plagiarizing.
Yeah, Shakespeare said it first, and then the Eagles picked it up. So there you go. Jeez. All right. So, I don't know. The job report, after the market jumped up, we'll have to see where the market is when it opens in half an hour or so. Yeah. Right now it's up, but with the job report coming out, that may change. So we'll see.
I expect the market to be up because of these negotiations with Mexico. They're going to capitulate.
You think so?
Of course, they have no choice. Are you kidding?
Well, they're not China. They don't have to save face, that's for sure. You know.
Well, and without the U.S., it's collapse. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
No, they're going to capitulate.
Okay. Well, they got today to do it.
well, Trump's back, and he's being updated by the vice president where they're at, and he doesn't take no for an answer. It's not in his vocabulary.
Well, there was a thing on Hannity the other day that the federales stopped a bunch of people 50 miles from the border.
Yes, they did finally send troops, they claimed, down to stop people. Yep.
So we'll see
they're
if
quietly capitulating already.
Well, we'll see if that happens, but I don't know. We'll see. If they start stopping these folks. But what do we have? The most arrests in 13 years or something like that this
140
this month. Yeah. I mean, that's not going to work.
Not going to work.
All right. We got to take another quick break. We'll be right back. 6 minutes before the top of the hour, Friday, June 7th, 2019. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. Shane Taubman, half man, half amazing, on the line. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. From our text line, Shane, let me get back over there. Is there a Democrat in Congress that isn't a lawyer? Well, you came to the right place because, of course, Shane and I know this stuff. While 0.6% of the U.S. adult population are lawyers, 41% of the 113th Congress are. Members of Congress are 68 times as likely as all American adults to have practiced law. But the Congressional Research Service notes that the vast majority of members, 95%, have an academic degree. 168 representatives and 57 senators had a law degree.
It's important that you say had, because when you're sworn to the bar in the U.S., you tell the court that you will always tell the truth.
Well, yeah, that won't work. 5 representatives, but no senators have an associate's degree as their highest degree. So let's see, 54 U.S. senators have law degrees. It was a good week for the power of a law degree after it was reported that 45% of the members of the 114th Congress are JD graduates, Jewish whatever that is. And 54 senators and 160 congressmen are lawyers. So now it doesn't break them down by Republican and Democrat. So
well,
I'm assuming all the Democrats are, because I know we got a bunch of Republican doctors in there somewhere.
Yeah, and these people have been reading law all their life, and they can't even write it.
Yeah. Well, what can I tell you? That's right. That's where they are. That's where we are in the world today. So
yeah, we have the same basic percentages here in our parliament.
Yeah. Let's see. Also, after years of no glass recycling in the Gallatin Valley, We Recycle Montana started accepting it about a year ago. It will hold a free glass recycling day Saturday to spread awareness about its new program. The event will be held at the Gallatin County Fairgrounds in the Oak Lot from 9 o'clock to 1. That'll be off Oak Street, if you didn't guess that already from the Oak Lot. Now that warm weather is here, We Recycle wants to formally kick off its glass recycling program, saying marketing and sales manager Tawana Healy. So there you are.
And glass is silica. Mm-hmm. Silica is the most abundant rock on the planet. So crush it and mix it with some dirt and throw it back in the ground. There you go. This is not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, it's a flat commodity. There's no real return on it for the recycle, but for us, offering glass recycling fills an emotional need for the community. So they don't really make any money recycling glass, and for years they didn't do it because it didn't make any money. But primarily they grind it up and use it to make highways and stuff like that.
Add it to asphalt.
Yeah, add it to asphalt. So that's that's why it's so slick when it snows. You're on glass. So
yeah, you're good, Mayor. You're really good.
I tell you.
But the one thing I love about asphalt, what's the worst thing for asphalt? Water.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah. Water or snow or ice, yeah.
Yeah, worst thing for asphalt, yeah.
I don't know. Well, we've had a pretty good snow in February and others, but they still are hoping that we get some rain because the melting is starting. But if these farmers want to have irrigation and whatever, we're going to need rain in addition to the snow that is already there and is melting and is running down. So that's.
And the remarkable thing, when we talk about the market at the next block, we should, because the fascinating thing is the futures on a lot of foodstuffs, like grain and soybean, they're not reacting too well to the floods. I'm mystified by it. This could be one of those hammers, the markers that we talk about that's unexpected that could cause the market to drop. Is that at some point the flooding in the middle of your continent is going to have an impact on commodity food prices.
Well, in August, when nothing comes out of the field, I think that's when you'll start seeing it. August and September.
That's right,
there's also some farmers and some elevators will store grain until the price is more favorable. As we know. So that may be what's slowing this down, is that stored resources are being sold, to offset this non-production.
That's right.
All right, that wraps it up for this hour. Of course, when we come back, we want to continue with some of the local stuff here, but we also have to do the 5 things you need to know. Jennifer Bordy will be here. And our poll of the day, what's your favorite legal movie? And Jennifer is going to talk about that. That's going to be one of her topics today. So
A Few Good Men. It's A
Few Good Men is the one. All right. Hey, don't forget about our app chat, too. If you got a smartphone, you can contact us right from the app chat right next to the Listen to Us button. You'll see the app chat button. So you can chat with us while we're on the air. So send us a chat, and we'll talk back at you, I guess. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. It's Friday, June 7, 2019, 47 degrees outside. Shane Matavin joins me from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing, and Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And boy, lots of things happening. Let's see, what have we not covered? Well, we've got the Montana Indigenous Persons Task Force was named, and Shane, I think you have the same problem in where we have here, that a lot of indigenous people are being kidnapped and whatever.
Never found.
Yeah, never found. Yeah. Attorney Tim Fox has appointed 11 members to the Missing Persons Indigenous Persons Task Force. Not going to go through and name all of them, but lawmakers created the task force to identify jurisdictional and communication barriers among law enforcement agencies that prevent adequate investigation and missing Native Americans, and a way to improve collaboration. So there's always been a kind of a resistance between tribe law enforcement and, American law enforcement, I guess, to work together, because one is very protective of their sovereignty. And,
that's right.
And don't want, people coming in from the outside and solving their crimes and things like that. So sometimes that's one reason why I think the lack of communication, a lot of these things go without resolution.
Well, yeah, and both countries have the same policy on our reserve, or your reservations are. We refer to them as nations. They have their own police force, and they want to deal with their own crime on their own reservation or within their own nation. Yeah. And so it's a treaty issue, and one that both governments have a difficult time with, because they're not really good about honoring their indigenous treaties.
True. Wonder why.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, crews plowing Glacier National Park's Going to the Sun Road from the east to the west sides have met near the middle, finishing the bulk of the snow removal up there. So if you want to head up to Glacier and go to the Going to the Sun drive, more power to you. They got the snow pretty well out of the way. So
that's right. And a road built, during the Depression by one of FDR's programs. Mm-hmm. It's one of the narrowest roads in your country. I mean, right. Most roads are like 14 feet wide. I think it's like 12.
Yeah.
It's got like a 2-foot wall on it with a 2,000-foot drop on the other side. So it's quite a view from up there.
Yeah. Well, in an unrelated Montana story, I had to go over to South Dakota for this story. This is pretty funny. Actually, let's see. We've got a guy by the name of Francis Bush Osby, O-S-E-B-Y. He was elected the mayor of his city in the 2019 election. And what's interesting was that he served time for a federal crime and lived in his lumberyard office with no running water and survived a rare adrenal cancer. And what makes this interesting is that here you have an ex-convict. He is the mayor of Crooks, South Dakota.
You gotta
love that.
You gotta love that. Only in America. That's
Crooks, South Dakota mayor is all right. Yeah, he's doing a good job.
And I bet the city's spelled Crooks, right?
It is, right? It's spelled Crooks, Crooks, South Dakota. So kudos to him. And, well, also far-left legislator Alexandria Ocasio Cortez doubled down on her progressive housing policy. She said, "What are we doing to make sure housing is being legislated as a human right?" So now you have a human right to housing. I guess before long you'll have a human right to food and a car and, a job. And yeah.
Well, she sort of plagiarized that from Clinton, because that's what he said back in 98 and, started the whole, single family ownership for low income people, and resulted, of course, in the 2008-9 crash because of, mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah. Well, she told the crowd in the Bronx that their right to affordable housing is more important than others' privilege to earn a profit. Privilege to earn a profit. No hard work involved in that profit. No busting your butt. No taking a risk. No. Come on.
Oddly enough, I was checking yesterday. The largest on the planet, the most single dwelling homes are in North America, U.S. and Canada. 65% in the U.S., 64% in the U.S. 65% in the U.S., 64% in Canada. People own single-family homes. So most of the population are already in single homes. It's the lower middle class and the lower class that, unless they've inherited, don't have a home.
Well, there you are. Wow. From our text line, 478-8298. Yesterday, we asked people to call in and honor the folks that were in their family or whatever who served during World War II. And Tom, researching Uncle Newt Hooker that we talked about, I became confused on his grave. 22 infantry, assuming 22nd Infantry, 4th Division. Nearest I can tell, he landed on Utah Beach on D-Day. So good.
There we go.
Thanks for that update. And let's see, from our text line, they've only stopped dozens out of thousands at the Mexican border. Well, if that's true, the flow of immigrants at the southern border surged in May as authorities last month took into custody more than 144,000 migrants, according to numbers released Wednesday by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Tallies 32% jump from April and includes the highest number of apprehensions in a month on the southern border in 13 years. More than 55,000 migrant children were among those taken into custody, while the number of families and unaccompanied migrant children encountered at the border skyrockets. The volume of immigrants has taxed immigration facilities beyond their breaking point. Most of them are doing babysitting now rather than apprehending people at the border. They're just standing around guarding these people.
Well, and the cost, the overwhelming cost to your country is well over $200 billion. And, in February, your president said, and I love this, 25,772,342 illegal aliens, not 11 million. I mean, he's got the exact number of how many illegal. So they know exactly. And we're waiting this week for your Supreme Court to announce about the census and that question, are you an American citizen?
Yeah.
So that, this is going to be a very interesting situation in the next 4 years.
Boy, it will be. Yeah, that's for sure. So, yeah. Well, man, I don't know.
Well, you talk about a pizza. I mean, basically this is your home. It's costing you your home to allow these illegal immigrants in. It's not a pizza to pay for a new school or a new police department. But for all these illegal immigrants, you're giving up your home.
Well, I would pretty much. Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. I mean, that's where we find ourselves today.
That's how scary it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to look on here and see where my blog for today was, but I don't see it on here, so I'll have to check that out. Town and Country Foods is expanding in southwest Montana. They're opening a new store in Dillon, Montana.
Wow.
The new store was purchased in April and replaced Vans IGA on the south side of town over there. So, and they're also looking to expand. They're already in Livingston, Belgrade, and they're going to have a couple spots here in Bozeman. They're going to open a new store here in Bozeman as well. So once the lawsuit is settled, I guess. Well, no, that's Winco that has the lawsuit.
Yeah, but that'll determine others to come, right?
True. Well, yeah, it should. Yeah. Let's see. Somebody breaks into your home and demands a room and food. How do you respond from our text line? Yeah. You come across the border of my house, and you plop down and change the channel. And where's the food? Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's perfect.
And make sure it's real Mexican too. Okay.
Well, yeah, it has to be authentic Mexican food. Let's none of that fast food stuff. I want the real deal.
I want the real deal with real avocado.
That's right. I want real avocados. So let's get on the stick here.
So
all right.
Do they can avocados? I don't think so.
Well, if they don't, they should. Huh?
If they don't,
Well, you can buy the ready-made guacamole on the shelf, but I've never tasted any that's worth buying. Man, it's pretty nasty. No. Most of it. It's not. Even if it's called authentic, if that's authentic, I don't like it. So
yeah, the artichoke cart dip is good.
Well, that's true. All right. We'll be right back with more right after this. 19 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m., it is Friday, June 7, 2019, 47 degrees outside. Shane Mataman on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagle-F, your morning mayor in the house. And Shane, we have a text question for you.
Uh-oh.
478-8298. In the spirit of our veterans, Shane, are you a Vietnam vet since you went to high school here in Montana, or were you too young?
Actually, just turned 18 the year that Nixon stopped the draft.
So you're in the lottery, I guess.
No, I wasn't. I just turned 18 the year that he ended the draft, so I didn't even get in because he turned. That's why I'm, think that Nixon's a great president because I never ended up being.
But they went to a lottery after that, didn't they? After they stopped the draft, they went to a lottery, didn't they?
Well,
or did they have the lottery instead of the draft?
No, he stopped the draft and the lottery.
Okay.
In 72, I think it was.
Yeah.
But here's a really cool story. So my older brother, went to school, and he was in Missoula, and they wanted to draft him. And my father's lawyer went to court and said they couldn't draft a immigrant, a green card immigrant, because it wasn't a declared war. And
because you and your most of your family's are Canadian citizens. So
yeah, we came down in 55
for work. You came down for work. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the federal, Attorney General for the District of for Montana wouldn't take up the case against him because they didn't want it challenged in court.
Well, if he was in school, he should have been exempt anyway.
Well, they weren't going to give him an exemption. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
But that the argument the lawyer my father hired went to court with was it's not a declared war, so you can't draft him. And I'm just telling you the Department of Justice under Nixon, the federal attorney for Montana wouldn't take the case because he didn't want it to go through the process because, wow, can you imagine? If that went to the Supreme Court and was decided that you couldn't draft people unless it was a declared war.
So you're telling me that I'm over there dodging bullets when I could have got out of this deal?
Probably, yeah. No, I'm just telling you. It's a great story.
Jeez.
No, but think about it. It makes sense.
Well,
it does.
Well, it sort of does, I guess.
It's a good argument, right? How can you draft people when it's not a declared war?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll have to find out about that one. I don't know.
Jennifer. How can you draft someone for war if it's not declared? There you go.
Yeah. From our text line 478-8298, we're talking about illegal immigration, and you have to speak my language too. Yeah, I can't believe we don't have English as the American language. That boggles my mind that we're resistant to doing that. Now, I know they got 800 languages in New York City, but come on. I mean, you pretty well have to speak English somewhat to get by in the United States of America. I wouldn't go to France and say, hey, everybody, please speak American, will you, please? Because, it's really hard for me to learn French, even with Babbel,
Well, we risked breaking up our confederation over language. So now we're a bilingual country.
Mm-hmm. And because you're in Quebec and everybody there they speak French, I guess, don't they? And
Quebecois, it's called.
Yeah. Pardon me. I didn't want to insult anyone.
No, you'd be insulting the French. They get very upset.
Oh, man. Well.
Yeah, it's not French. It's Quebecois.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is everything labeled in Canada is both in French and English, and so are all the government phone calls. You know, when you call the government, the first thing they say, yeah, press 1 if you want this in English, press 2 if you want it in French.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, Tom should have gotten his dad to buy a doctor note for bone spurs. Hey, I tell you, I went into that physical. I went in limping. I went in crawling on my hands and knees. It didn't matter.
You should have gotten a pedicure. You could have gone in flat-footed.
Yeah, well, flat feet didn't count either. I was, I'll tell you. It didn't matter, man. If you could fog a mirror, you were going. So.
That's right. You could have gone to a place and buy an old pair of glasses, like bubble glasses.
Yeah, the real thick stuff. Yeah, I should have done that. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. Well, I wore a dress, but so did everybody else. So that didn't work. I don't know.
Oh,
anyway, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
It's wet outside.
Is it raining finally?
Yeah, finally it's raining out here,
right.
you know. This is Colonel Clink.
Yeah.
Anyway, Colonel Clink has got something to ask you two smart boys.
All right.
Good, sir.
Shane, are you ready for this big question?
For you always.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, it seems like the world's money is settled in England, and I want to know why is it that the British are the biggest empire in the world. I want to know how this all happened. They're bigger than any other. The English have more land than anybody in the world, and I'm wondering why.
Well, they started early. They started what?
Well,
100 BC.
Well,
that's right. That's number one.
Yeah. They've been collecting land forever.
Well, Shane, you're one of them Canucks, I guess, and I look at Canada and I look at Australia and I look at some of the land they have in South America, all over the world that they've laid claim to, and I'm thinking, and then the banking system, see, that is something that's always bothered me, is them and the banking systems of the world. And I've read a lot about it. I've read The Creature from Jekyll Island, with Mr. Griffin wrote, and I read about Mr. Morgan and the rest of them that was all down there. And I'm thinking about all this and who's controlling. We have the American dollar, that is world currency, basically.
Yep, pretty much.
And the Chinese, they're trying to do the same thing as we did there in the Bretton Woods. But the thing that's bothered me is the money and the British Empire. It's bothered me, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's bothered me, but it is. And this banking system, I'm scared to death of this banking system. And I want to know if Shane and you, Tom, can shed a little light on it, or somebody else out there that's a hell of a lot smarter than I am can explain this to me. So that's all I got to say this morning, except if you're outside working, you might get a little wet.
Okay.
But these farmers, if they got their seed in the ground now,
they're ready to go.
Oh my God, they're going to have a wonderful crop, you know. So let's all hope that the farmer does well and that we do well. And this inflation, that's another thing. This inflation around here is taking off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I buy a lot of parts for automobiles and trucks and stuff like that. And boy, every time I buy something, it's inflated, daily. So maybe you guys can, and some of them smart people out there can shed some light on what I've been talking about.
You may have to cut back on the bird feed you buy for all your bird feed here in the background when you call.
Yeah, well, We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
We'll have to cover all this after the break at the bottom of the hour. I don't have time to do it now. That's for sure. We got about a minute left.
It's a lot to cover there, Tom. But maybe I want to hear some smart people out there.
All right. We'll talk about
them smart guys. I'm a dummy, and I want some smart people to kind of wise me up here a little.
All right.
See you later.
We'll do our best.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. All right. All right. Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour here, so we're going to, let's see. Clint needs correction. The Catholic Church is the largest landowner. So maybe that's the Vatican and whatever, I guess. They've got a share of land out there probably, Shane.
Well, yeah, all the churches in the world belong to them and the property.
Yeah, so there you are. Yeah, they would probably be a pretty good landowner, that's for sure. So, all right. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that. We come back. I wrote a blog, my rant on illegal immigration. I want to cover that when we come back. So, the cost of illegal immigration. What is it costing you personally? So, I want to talk about that when we come back. So. This is News Radio AM 1450, KMMS in Bozeman, 1340 KPRK in Livingston, online, KMMSAM.com. Hey, don't forget our poll of the day. What's your favorite legal movie? Go over to KMMSAM.com and vote, or on your smartphone at AM 1450 KMMS. And don't forget our KMMS website. A lot of interesting stories over there, including my blog. So we'll be right back right after this. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, June 7th, 2019, 46 degrees outside. Shane Matabin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. And glad to have you along with us, my friend. And Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, in the house. And let's see, from our text line, my brother, 18 years old, perished in Vietnam. I guess we couldn't afford the right lawyer. Well, I'm not going to dispute that a lot of people got out of service by hook or crook, certainly. And I certainly sorry for your loss. I myself have not been able to go out to Lindley Park and look at that wall yet. Maybe someday I'll have the courage to do that, but every Vietnam vet I've ever talked to feels the guilt of why is your brother's name on that wall and my name is not. That's a guilt we carry our whole lives from that war. So I'm not saying that as consolation for your loss, but every death affected us as much as anyone else. So. From our website, or from our text line, 478-8298, Tom's mistake was going to the government physical. Well, I didn't have any choice. Instead of buying a doctor to write a note for bone spurs, you still had to go take the physical. Allow you to skip Vietnam and play football. Well, if I was playing football, I'd be in school, I'd be exempt. So I don't know. I'm not sure where we're going there. But anyway, I get the drift. You don't like Trump, so big deal. You know, he's president. Get over it. All right. Let's see. I was going to talk about the true cost of illegal aliens in America. That's the title of my blog today, which is over at KMMSAM.com if you want to go over and read it. The true cost of illegal aliens in America. The title is not a typo. I didn't use illegal aliens by mistake. It's the correct term to describe the invasion of people crossing our southern borders each month. Both parties are arming themselves with talking points for and against illegal immigration reform, if such a term actually exists. So what's the true cost of immigration in America? Well, while the uninformed whine about the increased cost of an avocado, the real cost flies securely under the radar of the average citizen. Contrary to popular belief, federal policy prohibits federal tax dollars from funding health care to illegals through either Medicaid or Obamacare. If that's the law, what do 3.9 million uninsured illegals get? Well, according to Chris Conover's article in Forbes magazine, a lot. They get $4.6 billion in health care services paid for by federal taxes. They get $2.8 billion in health services financed by state and local taxpayers. They get $3 billion bankrolled through cost shifting, higher payments by insured payments to cover hospital uncompensated care costs. and they get $1.55 billion in physician charity care. Welcome to America.
Exactly.
And it doesn't stop there. Under federal law, every kid in America gets public education regardless of their immigration status. So pony up, taxpayers, $59.8 billion to educate illegals, with 98.9% paid for through, say it with me, property taxes at the state and local level. Taxes collected locally and statewide are short of the amounts needed to fund the number of illegals plus legal students. So how many kids are we talking about? So far this year, 44,799 unaccompanied alien minors have crossed the border, and 248,000 family units, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. More people have been apprehended legally crossing the border this fiscal year than at any year since 2009, and I think in May it was 13 years. Let's not forget about drugs. 70,000 people or more overdose every year on opioids and other drugs coming across our southern border if left unchecked. These numbers are estimated to double each year going forward. U.S. Border Patrol seized 480,000 pounds of fentanyl, marijuana, and meth in 2018. In January of this year, 650 pounds of meth and fentanyl with a street value of $4.6 million were confiscated by border agents, the largest seizure in history. Some final thoughts. Here's the problem. You probably personally aren't feeling any pain of any kind from this information. You probably have compassion for the 4 immigrants crossing for a better life, and there's nothing wrong with feeling that way, but are you aware that you'll be paying for that better life at the expense of your own family? Your property taxes could be less. Your medical costs and health care insurance could be less. How would that pain relief make you feel? Or to put it bluntly, you're paying a tariff for every illegal in this country. Think about that the next time you glance at your taxes.
That's right.
And that's my rant.
Okay, I got to answer Clint's question. So yeah. The Commonwealth is the remnants of the British Empire, where the sun never set. 53 member states, and the Queen is the head of state of 16 members, known as Commonwealth realms. We're one of them. 32 other members are republics, and 5 others have different monarchs. But the big value to it, of course, is trade. It's the largest trading bloc in the world, which is why Trump wants to do a trade deal with England. Largest banks in the world. This has got to alarm everyone because, as you know, I harp about China being a fascist state. And of the top 10 banks in the world, the number 1 bank is the Agriculture Bank of China. It's number 2, Industrial Commerce Bank of China. Number 3, the Bank of China. Number 4, the China Construction Bank. Number 5, the HSBC Hong Kong Bank.
All right.
Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan and Citicorp follow up at the end. And there you go. So by value, it's similar. Although, the Commonwealth Bank of Australia and the Bank of India is in the top 10. But the point is that this is one of the big things that your president's negotiating with China, and why they changed the deal. In the deal that he had with them, China had agreed to open up their banking system to U.S. and other banks in the world to provide services in China. And then they decided when they went back that that's not something they really wanted to do. So this is a major reason why this has to happen. And and this is a really good question that Clint asked, because banking systems around the world are not tied to China because it's a fascist state, nationalistic fascist state. They control everything from banking to manufacturing, industry, and everything. So we'll see where your president goes with it, but they got to open up their banking system to the rest of the world so that the world can compete evenly with them.
All right.
There you go, Clint. There's your answer, buddy.
All right. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. 12 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, June 7, 2019, 46 degrees outside. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And from our text line, The Catholic Church, 71.6 million hectares, the most land on the planet, an area larger than France, is owned by the Catholic Church, followed by the Inuit people of Nunavut, something like that, 35 million hectares. You know who that is, right?
Inuit Nation in Canada. It used to be the Northwest Territories. Yep.
Yeah, belonging to Canada's Central and Eastern Northwest Territories. So, okay, there you go. Many don't like draft dodgers who claim to respect our military. He said it's okay because he's a great president. Well, Obama said he was a great president, too, and he never served, so big deal. Let's see. Also from our text line, I'd recommend Wealth, Power, and Politics by Thomas Sowell, a good authority generally, and good rant, Tom. Thank you very much for that. And all right, that'll catch us up on our text line for the moment. And we got Jennifer Bordy in the house coming up at 8 o'clock. We're going to be talking about favorite legal movies. And if you want to go over to our KMMS website, you can vote over there. We've got 5 choices over there, or you can put your own name in. And we'd be interested to know what's your favorite legal movie. I like legal movies. You know, somebody texted me this morning and said only musicals and something else. I forget what he said, or worse. Legal movies. So, but yeah. You know, I thought of things like Legally Blonde, you know, would be a good one. I didn't have that on the list, but that would be one. And I limited the choices to actual in-court, except for 12 Angry Men that took place in the jury room. Was with Henry Fonda and all those guys. So, yeah.
All right. Let's talk 401 market, Kay, because it's important today because...
Oh, yeah, okay.
The president had this huge success with the anniversary in Europe of the 75th anniversary, and so well received. Yeah. But the important thing is yesterday, for the first time, the mainstream media in your country complimented him.
Yeah, they did. I know.
And the market responded today, 172 points up. You know, like Dow Jones, the S&P up 21, NASDAQ up 81. But more importantly, 44 stock exchanges in Europe are all up today. Wow, they need to see him more often in Europe. I mean, the FTSE's up, the DAX in Germany, the CAC in France, the IBEX in Spain. I mean, the CAC in Italy. It's just a blossom. And of course, where is it down? Asia.
Well, two of the exchanges are closed in Asia. The China and Hong Kong, right. I think, are closed, so they can't do any damage today.
No, but other countries are down. Yeah. But you know, crude oil is at $52.79. Brent 61 in Europe. Natural gas 231. Average cost of gasoline in your country 170. But boy, look at this marker: gold 1340, up 685. Silver at $14.98, almost $15. Yeah. So you know, we have to look at that, and of course, currencies made a big bounce because of the trip by Trump. But the Bitcoin 7,980, up 174. We got to watch these markers, Tom. Something's shifting in the market, and this is, you know.
It's really surprising because usually when gold goes up, the market goes down because people are, you know, they're shifting money where they think it's safer, but it's rare that we see both gold and the market rise at the same time, and particularly when we're talking about tariffs every 10 seconds.
That's right, and you know, when interest on bonds drop, the price of those bonds go up. So the U.S. 10 years at 2.06, and down again. 30 years at 2.62, down again. So the U.S. bonds are going up now. This is what Bernanke talked about in quantum easing, you know, 10 years or, well, more than 10 years ago, but in 2008-9. And, you know, that he expected that the U.S. bond market would expand because money would come in the U.S. Well, he was right, but 10 years early. And so now, you know, or 15 years early. So now it's happening. So this is a real interesting transition because if money outside the U.S. goes to the debt market and not the equity market and commodities, that could slow the economy down.
Yep, it could. All right, we got to take a break. Jennifer Bordy's in the house. We'll be talking to her shortly, so we'll be right back right after this. 5 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, June 7, 2019, 46 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, and Jennifer Bordy will be making her way to the microphone here shortly. She went in and got some of our great coffee, and of course it wasn't hot, so she's microwaving it probably. So we'll be chatting with her in a few moments. So let's see, a couple other things we need to cover. Biden and the Hyde Amendment, Shane, in the 4 minutes we've got left. The Hyde Amendment, for those of you who may not know what it is, the Hyde Amendment simply says that dollars should not be used for abortion. Federal dollars or tax dollars should not be used for abortion. And Biden has changed his position on that. He says, nope, I can't support that, whatever. So,
well, and here's the important thing about the Hyde Amendment. It was passed in 1997 by the Republican House and Senate. But the importance of the Hyde Amendment is its enclosure, meaning it's included in every continuing resolution since 1997. Mm-hmm. So that means that every Democrat that's voted for a continuing resolution has voted for the Hyde Amendment.
Hyde Amendment, yeah. So
they sort of all have a problem with that because,
yeah.
And it sort of was a peace offering by the right to lifers because, okay, you have abortion and you want people to have the right to an abortion, but the government shouldn't have to pay for it if people don't feel it's right to have abortions. Mm-hmm. So, it's sort of an attack on what's kept this as a comfort zone of acceptance by, people that believe in the right to life. So this is not good for your country because this could create a major issue, not political, but personal issue for people, a moral issue for people if they do this.
Well, all right. So, well, I think that's what it comes down to. And of course, it's come to more light in the past 12 months because of many states are passing it. They're passing heartbeat bills. They're passing no abortion under any circumstances. Some of them are. And when we see on TV that they're talking about infanticide as well, that kind of gets everybody's attention, in the first, trimester or something like that. A lot of people think, well, that's okay. We don't really like it, but we'll accept it. But, when you got a botched abortion and a living kid there and you, take that kid out, a lot of people go, whoa, wait a minute. Hey, that seems like the Lord at work, not biology.
And Margaret Singer, who started Planned Parenthood, has to be happy because the U.S. funds it for $500 million every year. And, even though they represent that it's not for abortions, it's for other, it's other benefits to women.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's 77,000 or 770 Planned Parenthood places, and I believe there's 33,000 other places you can go and get the same or more services. I don't even think Planned Parenthood does things like mammograms or other things like that. I'm not sure, but
But the big news this week, Tom, was in Missouri. They closed their last abortion clinic in Missouri. There is no abortion clinics in Missouri right now.
Yeah, and a judge tried to stop that, and that didn't work apparently. So, in Louisiana, the Democratic governor signed the abortion bill there, and the Democratic. I was listening to somebody on the TV the other day, a black woman who is a Democrat, but she says, hey, I'm pro-life, just because I'm a Democrat doesn't mean I'm going to toe the party line on abortion. So good for her. So there you are. All right, Jennifer Bordy's up next. We're going to talk about her favorite legal movies and maybe some other stuff. I don't know. There's all kinds of things going on. So we'll be chatting with Jennifer. So stay tuned for that. And Shane will be with us, of course, and we will be back. And it's finally Friday. Oh, my God. Thank God. All right. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Jennifer Bordy up next. All right, thank you, Dan. It is 6 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, Friday, June 7th, 46 degrees outside. Shane Matavin, half man, half amazing. On the line with me, Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor. KMMS Morning Soapbox welcomes Jennifer Bordy. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good.
Me too. We're going to digress a little bit or divert a little bit.
We're going to have fun. We're going to have a little fun today.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Because unlike you, because I heard you say there's lots going on. I thought it was kind of a boring week.
Yeah, well, not much legal happening. Everything's in limbo.
And maybe that's just because I actually had I didn't have a single thing except a couple meetings on my calendar this week.
Wow.
Whoa.
So that's it. So.
What happened to that?
I don't know.
Don't let it be a sign, however.
So anyway, we want to talk about favorite legal movies or courtroom movies.
I've actually wanted to do this topic for like 20 years, since the 90s easily.
Well, everybody likes movies, And
I love movies.
I guess not everybody. I like courtroom movies. I like the back and forth between the attorneys and the judge and the legalese, and you should be able to say that. Well, why can't you? Or why is that evidence not in there? Come on.
I also like legal TV shows.
Yeah.
And even though some of them are not all that realistic, what I do like about them that is realistic that people do not understand or appreciate about what really happens in courtrooms is there really are two sides to every story. Not all the facts are ever going to be on one side or the other. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And especially, I remember LA Law was particularly good about showing the good facts sides. And the bad facts. Yep. So, but we're only talking about movies today, not TV shows. Now, normally you would do a countdown to number one, but since I never seem to get finished with the topic, I'm just going to go ahead and start at the top to make sure we get the big ones in there, the good ones.
All right, let's go for it.
I think they're all pretty good.
Okay.
So this movie shows up on everybody's list of all-time good movies, no matter what kind it is. Mm-hmm. So, of course, it was number one on the top of everybody's list, and I'm going to put it up there, too, and also say that I'd never really stopped to think. I'm a huge movie fan, got a huge autograph collection, mostly I got from my dad, and movie posters, including Injustice for All, which is on my list.
Right.
And
I'll bet it's To Kill a Mockingbird.
It is. It's To Kill a Mockingbird. That's number one.
Number one on the list.
It is. And Gregory Peck won an Oscar for his performance.
Every year in 1988, starting 1988, when my girls were 3 and 5, on Martin Luther King Day, I made them sit. Well, didn't make them, but we would sit down and watch To Kill a Mockingbird.
There you go.
Yeah, and it really covers a whole gamut of not just legal issues, although racial issues pretty much have been covered by the law.
Lee Harper, wrote the book?
Yes, since the 1960s.
Truman Capote pal.
Oh, is she? I don't know.
Yeah.
But and then
they went together to do In Cold Blood.
Oh, really? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, yes, To Kill a Mockingbird is at the top of the list, where Gregory Peck represents a black man in the South accused of rape. He's a widower with 2 young kids. And if you haven't seen the movie, you got to see it. It's phenomenal.
Two great things about it. His name was Atticus Finch.
Interesting name.
But
with the daughter named Scout, although I think that was a nickname.
Scout, yeah.
But it's the dialogue. The great thing about these types of movies is the dialogue.
Right.
Well, and this one actually is a very realistic representation of what a trial in the South representing a black man was like. From all accounts. I mean, obviously, I've never been there and done that, but it apparently is a very realistic legal drama.
Well, and the other thing is told from the viewpoint of the kids.
True. Yep.
From that standpoint,
with a couple of side stories that are fascinating as well. So
Yep. Let's take a quick phone call here. Caller, you are on the air with Jennifer Bordy. You got a favorite legal movie?
Some of the ones you mentioned there, Tom, but good morning, Dynamic Duo. This is Steve-O. Is Shane still coming here? Because if he is, I don't know whether you should tell him to bring his Hawaiian shirt and cutoffs or
He's coming in July, I believe. Yeah, so
that's Hawaiian shirt and cutoffs.
Yeah, that's
looking forward to it. Hey, and Jennifer, you're not the only starfish in the sea, but you're my favorite legal starfish babe.
I'm not exactly sure what you meant by that, but thank you,
song.
I think.
From your favorite song.
Oh, yeah.
You're not the only starfish in the sea, but you're his favorite starfish in the sea.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry that escaped me. I must.
Red Rubber Ball. There you go.
One of my favorite lines from Red Rubber Ball.
Yep.
Right.
Anyway,
now I know you're not the only starfish in the sea. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Well
missed
done. Well done.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. All right. Well, To Kill a Mockingbird, number 1 on our list. So
number 2 is actually one of my personal favorites because I wish it was realistic. I mean, I wish this is what every jury did. But 12 Angry Men, starring Henry Fonda, also had Jack Warden was in that movie, and he's in a bunch of these legal movies, believe it or not. He was in The Verdict that we'll be talking about, and one other one that's escaping me right now. But at any rate, amazing movie. It also had who was in The Odd Couple and Quincy M.E.
Jack Klugman.
Thank you. Jack Klugman's in it. I think Norman Fell. I mean, it had quite a few up-and-comers in the future, mostly TV stars they became. But at any rate, it's what happens is it's all takes place in the jury room, and they're all men, obviously, in this jury back in the 50s, and they all go in, and 11 of them right off the bat, and probably even Henry Fonda, think the man is guilty. But Henry Fonda makes them actually analyze and look at the evidence, and they ultimately do realize there were a lot of problems with the prosecution's case, and they all acquit the man accused of murder.
Martin Balsam was in it, Lee J. Cobb, E.J. Marshall, Jack Klugman,
amazing
Jack Warden, Henry Fonda, Ed Begley.
Oh yeah.
Quite a list of folks there.
Yep. And we were talking off the air. I wish that they would show this movie to all jurors before they go in to deliberate. And you had the idea it should be on the jury notice. Yeah. Watch 12 Angry Men before you show up.
Right.
So yeah, it's an amazing movie, amazing cast, amazing performances.
Oh yeah.
And just love the way that they do what juries are supposed to do.
Exactly.
Every now and then, I'm sure they do it, but maybe not as often as they should.
From our text line, Presumed Innocent by Scott Turow.
It's on my list.
Was made into a good movie.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey, Politics Aside, Liar, Liar.
Oh, that's not on my list, but I forgot about that.
That's a pretty funny one, too.
It was funny.
That was a good one.
And how do you know when a lawyer's lying? His lips are moving.
Right, yeah, there you are.
All right, so To Kill a Mockingbird, 12 Angry Men, and the third one at the very top has got to be Inherit the Wind, which is based on an actual trial. It's called the Monkey Scopes Trial.
Scopes Monkey Trial.
Or Scopes Monkey Trial, sorry. It happened in 1925, I believe, when Tennessee had a law against teaching evolution. And the teacher that taught it was actually tried. Clarence Darrow represented him. And it was a famous prosecutor whose name is also escaping me right now. But anyway.
That would be Henry Drummond and Matthew Harrison Brady.
And Spencer Tracy played Clarence Darrow. And
he played Henry Drummond, actually.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he played Clarence Darrow. And Frederick March played the prosecutor. And you know who played the teacher?
Yes.
Whose name is really Scopes? Darren from Bewitched. The first Darren from Bewitched.
Dick York. Dick York.
Dick York, that's the one. Anyways, it's an amazing movie, too. Amazing performances. Oh, and Gene Kelly, in a rare non-musical movie, he played a reporter.
Yeah.
And so it was, great cast,
Claude Akins
great
was
movie.
in it. Let's see who else. Noah Barry Jr., Norman Fell.
Oh, Norman Fell. Wasn't he also in 12 Angry Men? I said he was, but maybe I missed
Florence Eldridge.
So,
and Jimmy Boyd.
Just that movie alone, and it's a great play. Actually, it was a movie made from a play.
Right.
And it just, as was 12 Angry Men, I believe, actually. But amazing. You should, all three of these movies at the top, they may be old, but they're timeless.
From text line, A Time to Kill by John Grisham.
Well, that's on my list, too, for a particular reason, but I'll get to
Old movies from the 50s, really?
Well,
got to be my cousin Vinny too.
Well, To Kill a Mockingbird was 62, Inherit the Wind was 60, and 12 Angry Men was 57.
Yeah, so there.
Here's another one from 1957. Mm-hmm. It's on my list. It wasn't on other people's lists that I looked at online, but it happens to be one of my top 3 favorite movies anyway. And I'm telling you right now, everybody should go and watch Witness for the Prosecution, 1957. Tyrone Power, Marlene Dietrich, in the most amazing performance of anybody's career. I mean, she was robbed. She was the only one of the cast not nominated for an Oscar. Yeah. Robbed. And it had Elsa Lanchester and Charles Laughton. And it is a British courtroom drama, but it is an amazing, amazing movie. And it's even more amazing because it started just as a short story. And I've read the short story by Agatha Christie. Seriously, it's like 3 pages long.
Yeah.
And then they made the most amazing movie out of it. And everybody should watch it. And Tyrone Power is accused of murder. And his wife is the witness for the prosecution, his wife, Marlene Dietrich. An amazing performance by everybody. And it's got some wit and humor in it as well. And I think it's fairly realistic. Of course, I don't know British courtrooms myself, but the way that Charles Laughton attacks the evidence against his client is amazing.
Yeah. He's an amazing
you can
actor.
learn.
He's an amazing actor.
But as a lawyer, I could learn from that. And I did, and I've used some of those tactics to great effect, I might add. So maybe that's why I'm a great trial lawyer. I don't know. But anyway.
There you go.
Because Witness for the Prosecution.
All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more. Think about what's your favorite courtroom movie or legal movie, I should say. And we'll take your answers in text or give us a call or whatever. We'll be right back with more with Jennifer Bordy, Shane, and myself right after this. 21 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. It is Friday, June 7, 2019, 46 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line from Vancouver, British Columbia, and the talented Jennifer Bordy in the house. Tommy Galoff, your morning mayor, and let's see. We've got just tuned in. What was the movie the law babe liked?
Witness for the Prosecution.
Witness for the Prosecution.
1957. Tyrone Power, Marlene Dietrich. Don't watch the remake in like the late 60s with Diana Rigg, or I'm not sure when it was made, but don't watch that one. Watch the original.
I just sent what was the prosecution of the wrong texture, so that's okay. All right.
So next,
we're doing for the benefit of people joining us. We're doing favorite legal movies.
Yep.
So,
and best. They aren't necessarily always my favorite, but I went with best as well as my favorite. So.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. The Verdict. Paul Newman. Well, first of all, Be Still My Heart. I once had a dream I was married to Paul Newman.
Whoa.
And Joanne Woodward was our friend. But that tells you how much I love Paul Newman. I loved him. But anyway, I won't go there.
Okay. All right. Good.
Another dream I had once.
I don't know. I think your dreams are off the air.
Anyway, The Verdict. And Paul Newman, one of the things you got to admire about him as an actor is he was never afraid to play a drunk. Like, remember when we first see him in The Sting? I mean, and, a lot of actors and actresses won't do that, but he will. And the whole movie, he's an alcoholic in The Verdict. He's an alcoholic lawyer, really has screwed up his entire career, but he's got a friend, Jack Warden, who somehow gets him a great medical malpractice case. Yeah. And he does absolutely nothing up until trial. And so my first thought about it is it's unrealistic in that there's no way an alcoholic would pull it together to actually win a case like that. Yeah. If you call it a win, but we'll talk about that in a second. He won it with the jury, let's say, but the judge overturned it. But, by the way, James Mason as the evil opposite corporate lawyer. Oh my God, he sends chills down your spine with his performance. It was amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty nasty anyway. It was.
And The Verdict was also nominated for an Oscar for Best Movie and Paul Newman for Best Actor. They didn't win, but it's just that good of a movie. Yeah. And the thing that did finally strike me, though, is it wasn't that he got to a trial and he hadn't done anything to prepare, and so he should have lost, was going to lose. But even at least during the trial, he really persevered and pursued the truth and got to the truth. And so that, in a way, does make it good because that's really what you have to do as a lawyer. I firmly believe that the justice system is a search for the truth. That's what we tell every jury during voir dire, that the process where you question them to see who you're going to pick for your jury, that it's a search for the truth. And I actually believe the whole trial process is supposed to be that. It's not win or lose. It's what's the truth.
Yeah.
And so that is why I like the verdict, not just Paul Newman. Love him, of course, but it's...
Well, that's why, I've always wondered, rules of evidence, the fact that you go in and find the murder weapon and they say, well, you didn't have a proper search, or you didn't have this, or you didn't have that. You've got the murder weapon and the guy's prints on it and everything, and it doesn't go to court. What's the deal?
Well,
if you're looking for the truth,
in most cases, that is usually only in the movies. It's rarely going to be that something like that gets thrown out in real life. But at any rate.
Excuse me, Jennifer. For the benefit of our listeners, an important aspect of criminal court is the voir dire. Could you define and explain it to the listeners, please?
Well, that's what it means. Voir dire means it's to tell the truth, the search for the truth. I can't remember exactly, but truth is in there. And it's a process where you go through and you ask the jurors questions with the idea of trying to find out who is going to be a fair and impartial juror, keep an open mind, listen to the evidence and the law that the judge gives you, and decide the case just on that.
They ask you if you're related to anybody in the court.
That too, because all those kinds of things can
influence you, and how long have you lived here, and
so you may be excused for cause because. For example, a really good example, I remember when I was a prosecutor in DUI trials, for some reason this same guy got called over and over, but his mother had been killed by a drunk driver, and of course he couldn't be fair and impartial, and so we'd have to excuse him for cause every time. So that's an example, but you also get what's called peremptory challenges, where you get to challenge somebody for no reason whatsoever when the jury's not present, and so that's how you get your jury panel ultimately. Either
you can only dismiss so many.
You only get 3 on each side if it's a misdemeanor and it's a 6-person jury, and you get 6 on each side if it's a felony or a civil case with 12 people.
Okay.
12-person jury.
All right. Let's take a quick phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you're on the air with Jennifer Bordy and Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, Tom. It's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, this year, actually, what you just said about evidence being used that was illegally obtained, the Supreme Court actually decided a case this year that says that you can use illegally obtained evidence, which basically just gets rid of the Fourth Amendment.
Well, they've actually almost always said that, because there's a good faith exception, that if the officer acted in good faith. There's other exceptions like plain view, if they had a legal right to be where they were and saw something in plain view. There's all kinds of exceptions to the warrant requirement. So in many ways, it's almost always been.
Are you familiar with that case I'm talking about that went through the Supreme Court this year?
Where they said what?
Well,
I can't remember who it was, but they said that illegally obtained evidence was fine to use in a case, which at that point, what keeps a cop from just coming in your house without a warrant,
No, and I'd be surprised if I missed it in light of I almost always at least catch the criminally related
also,
cases.
too, it would seem like that would be a specific case, not all cases.
So,
I'm not sure. Maybe you guys should Google it. I can't remember what the case.
Okay, we'll try and find out. Maybe Jennifer can. We can research it and find out about it next week. So, all right. Hey, thanks for the call. Yeah, thanks for the call. All right.
Okay, next on the list is higher up on most other people's lists, but not mine in particular. But as we all know, there's a great line from this movie, A Few Good Men, with Tom Cruise, and most people forget Demi Moore was in there, and of course nobody forgets Jack Nicholson was in there. And the famous line I'm talking about is when Tom Cruise is examining Jack Nicholson as a witness, and he says, "I want the truth," and Jack Nicholson says, "You can't handle the truth." And I think that's true of nearly everybody on earth, to tell you the truth. That they can't handle the truth.
Right.
So anyway. It's not that uncommon.
I usually watch it even with commercials when it's on.
It is a good movie. Don't get me wrong. And I, again, really probably don't know. I do know that military trials are quite a bit different.
And in fact,
than regular trials.
The black guy, that was his first ever acting.
Yeah.
Ever.
And you don't necessarily, I don't think you get all the rights in a military trial that
you don't
get in a civilian trial.
No.
So I'm not really in a great position to comment on the realism.
I'm not speaking from personal experience in a military trial.
Right.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. But maybe you observed one.
But I know you don't have any rights at all. So
if
that's because military trials, the predicate is chain of command.
That's right.
And the next one is also a military trial, but we'll talk about it when we come back.
We will. All right. A military trial coming up. So what's your favorite courtroom movie or legal movie? Let us know. Either text us at 478-8298 or give us a call at 522-TALK. We'll be back with Jennifer Bordy, Shane, and myself right after this, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. It is 23 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Friday, June 7, 2019. Jennifer Bordy, attorney at law in the house, and Shane Matobin on the line with me, and Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. And let's see, from our text line, okay. Let's see. Tom and Shane and Jennifer, Peter Fonda once told me that my father Henry's favorite movie to star in was 12 Angry Men. Said he was so humbled to share the screen with so many stellar actors giving spectacular performances, and I would agree with that. Cane Mutiny is also one that a texter mentioned.
That is next on my list, actually. That was the next military trial I was going to talk about.
There you are. All right. So we'll rock and roll on ahead with. If you're just joining us, we're talking about favorite legal movies or courtroom movies or whatever you want to term them, I guess.
Yet another one with an amazing cast. First of all, who doesn't love Humphrey Bogart?
Right.
You are not American or human if you don't love Humphrey Bogart. Man, woman, I don't care what you are. You love Humphrey Bogart. You got to love Humphrey Bogart, or loved him, I suppose. Yeah. But at any rate, he actually died 2 years before I was born on my birthday. So I think I am the reincarnation of Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, really?
But anyway,
you're more attractive than he is or was.
He was not a gorgeous movie star at all. But oh my God, he was an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Cane Mutiny, where he plays the definitely mentally ill Captain Queeg, and that's who they mutiny against. It starred Jose Ferrer, Van Johnson, Fred McMurray. I think Ben Gazzara was in that. No, he might have been. But anyway, it's an amazing movie. It's a great book, too, by the way, by Herman Wouk. And I believe it may have also been based on an actual military trial, but I'm not 100% certain. And at any rate, and it was one of Herman Wouk's early books before War and Remembrance and The Winds of War. But at any rate, another great military movie. Legal military movie. Mm-hmm. And again, I guess I don't know for sure, but I think it was pretty accurate. In fact, knowing Herman Wouk and what he was definitely one for detail, historical detail, at least in his other books for sure. And I read the book and saw the movie, and so I thought that the movie was a pretty good rendition of the book. So I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty realistic.
Yep.
So
we're going to have to take another break.
Already?
I know, it's quick.
All right.
Well, the bottom of the hour is long, so it kind of jams us up here on this second half hour. But we're talking with Jennifer Bordy. We're looking for your favorite movie, your favorite legal movie, I should say, or courtroom drama, or whatever you want to call it. And you can text us, 478-8298, or you can app chat us, AM 1450 KMMS, or you can call us in at 522-TALK. We'll be right back. Friday on my mind. Yes, ma'am. It is finally Friday, June 7, 2019, 45 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. And Jennifer Bordy joins us on the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane, and glad to have you here. And from our text line, A Time to Kill is the best courtroom drama, and I think that's one
it's on my list.
It's one you're going to talk about.
And it's on my list mostly because it is the one movie that is better than the book, and the reason why it's better than the book does have to do with some of the legal aspect of
so
it.
You think Grisham was an attorney, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah.
And some of the
so
things,
maybe they got somebody a little more attorney-ish to work on the movie.
Maybe. And I will get there. In fact, maybe I'll do it after I do this next one.
Okay, yeah.
Even though it's a little farther down my list. But apparently I've got to skip
Yeah, we
some.
got to go.
All right, Presumed Innocence, starring another one of my favorites, Be Still My Heart, Harrison Ford.
Yeah, there you are.
And Scott Turow is also a lawyer. He wrote the book. And the movie was pretty good in terms of being well taken from the book. Good cast again. Raul Julia played the defense attorney, and it was an interesting movie and book because it showed a prosecutor being the defendant. So a very interesting movie, and it's good, and it's really the non-legal aspect, I suppose. Although you wonder somebody that's a prosecutor but then becomes a defendant, and it's sort of like the movie with the doctor with William Hurt a long time ago, how the doctor becomes a patient and it examines where you learn the different role. But Harrison Ford knows all along who actually committed the murder he's charged and tried for. And the evidence against him is very damning. And I didn't realize after you look at it at the end, you realize, oh, you should have been able to figure out who the murderer really was, but I didn't at any rate. So it's a good movie. It's a good book. Either way, it's pretty realistic, but it's nice that it shows how even though there's damning evidence that you can find holes, although a really crucial piece was conveniently lost by his friend, one of the detectives. That helped a lot, and that's not going to happen much in real life, although it does happen sometimes. Anyway, that's another really good one. And so I'm going to skip some of the really more legally focused movies. I want to talk about some of the lighthearted ones. I actually put Miracle on 34th Street
That's
on
a
this
courtroom
list.
drama.
Yeah, because they have a trial where Santa Claus is on trial for whether or not he's insane. And while it may not, you got to give the lawyer ingenuity for having figured out a way to prove his client was Santa Claus and therefore not insane. So it's just a fun one, but it is a legal drama. Another fun one is Adam's Rib, not the least realistic, but Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, and if you don't love, most of you probably don't even know who Judy Holliday is, but she was amazing. Unfortunately died young, but did a couple of fantastic movies, won an Oscar even for, now it's escaping me. Darn, it'll come to me. But anyway, she's in Adam's Rib. It's fun because they do all, Katharine Hepburn's the defense attorney, Spencer Tracy's the prosecutor, and they are married in the movie as well, which will never happen. But, and Katharine Hepburn does make pretty much a circus out of the courtroom, but it's a fun one. My Cousin Vinny ends up on that list too. Probably not remotely realistic. Again, it's a fun one to see how somebody that's totally incompetent can stumble through. So, and the distinction that sets these young boys free is not really going to happen in real life. Probably not a real distinction.
Probably not.
I wanted to name a few of those fun ones.
That was a good one, yeah.
I will go to A Time to Kill now because I'm going to run out of time if I don't.
Yeah.
And the reason why that movie makes my list at least and is so good, and it's the only movie better than a book, is because in the book there was something that didn't really make sense to me. How it all turned, and again, it's a black man who is being tried in the South for killing his daughter's rapist. And so, that's a tough one to win anywhere, but black men killing two white men in the South, it's going to be hard. And what happened in the book is, and then of course these are spoiler alerts, what happened in the book is the lawyer did not argue what would be the reason to acquit him. The jury came up with it on their own. And I'm not to say juries won't, they will, but in the movie they made it so that the lawyer argued the seminal thing, which was, what would you convict this man if he was a white man that had killed two black men? And that's what the jury thought of their own in the book, but in the movie he did argue it. Matt Damon was the lawyer in the movie, and he did argue it, and they did acquit him for killing his daughter's rapist. But at any rate, that's why I thought it was better than the book, because
there was another one like that. McConaughey was in it, defending Samuel L. Jackson. You remember the one where he made the talk about the little girl and they grabbed her and all that stuff and whatever?
I think Danny Glover was the black.
It could be, I don't
A
remember.
Time to Kill. I can't remember for sure, but at any rate.
Anyway.
I might have got that right. No, I think it was. You know what? Matt Damon was in a different John Grisham movie. It was Matthew McConaughey in this movie.
Okay,
also had Sandra Bullock in it and a young Ashley Judd. I think it might have been Ashley's like one of her first movies.
Yeah.
And so it was Matthew McConaughey in that movie.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking because it sure sounded like that was the movie I was thinking of anyway.
Okay, another of my favorites, nominated for many Oscars, and Justice for All, another phenomenal cast. And probably not very realistic, but who can't love that ending where the defense attorney gets up there and says, why would this woman lie? Why would this woman lie? His client was John Forsythe of Dynasty fame and other fame, who played a judge who was accused of raping a woman, and he wanted Al Pacino to represent him, and he did. And
they didn't like each other very much either.
No. But he got up there, and his argument to the jury is, why would this woman lie? Why would this woman lie? And he turns and looks at his guy and says, she didn't. He did it. I don't think you're going to see a defense attorney do that. Of course, he's going to get disbarred after that. But it's still a great movie.
All right. We got to do the Rush update and a couple other things here. We'll be right back. Here's Rush.
Although it's not shining too much today.
There we go. Not shining much, is it? Rain outside. Jennifer Bordy on the line in the studio with me, I should say. Tom Eagle, your morning mayor. Shane Matavin, half man, half amazing in Vancouver. And we're doing the favorite courtroom movies.
At this point, I just got to list them because we're out of time, which is why I went from the top down.
Right, yeah.
All right, Kramer versus Kramer, very famous for being Meryl Streep's first Oscar.
Yeah.
But also
Dustin
because
Hoffman,
it accurately depicted the issues and the problems that fathers have versus mothers, even though he had a really strong case because she completely abandoned her child for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so great movie, great performances, and Oscar for Meryl Streep on that one. But it was realistic.
Pretty good.
Okay, Anatomy of a Murder is on there. And, of course, Jimmy Stewart, who did a couple of various legal dramas, but this is a great one. And, excuse me, it's got an amazing cast. And that's another one. Loving, a recent movie, Loving, about the U.S. Supreme Court case where the U.S. Supreme Court held that you could not prohibit legally interracial marriage. Amazing movie. It's a good case, by the way. Yeah. Primal Fear is another one. Made my list, didn't make too many other lists, with Richard Gere and Edward Norton in his first role. I think Matt Damon actually tried out for it and didn't get it. Yeah. And that one,
Norton was good. He was really
you don't see that one coming either. It's a pretty good one. I don't know if it's realistic, but The Accused, I think that one was a very realistic, and that Jodie Foster got an Oscar for that. It's amazing. You know, the Oscars, the Academy, they love people that portray real people and apparently legal dramas.
Right.
And that was about a woman that was raped on a pool table based on a real case.
Yeah.
That happened, I believe, in New Jersey or somewhere.
Nobody stepped in to help her. Or
exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
And the difficulties of prosecuting the case for that reason.
Yeah.
So, excellent movie. I also have The Wrong Man on here. It's an Alfred Hitchcock, a little-known Alfred Hitchcock, also starring Henry Fonda, where Henry Fonda is wrongfully accused because he looks like the actual perpetrator. And I used that as a theme in a case where they had the wrong guy based on the fact that he looked very similar to who had actually done it. And it worked, by the way. My client was acquitted and should have been. It really was a different guy that had done it. And so The Wrong Man, I've used it as a theme. And then I also have a totally unrealistic movie, 100%, but I loved it. It's made my list and nobody else's, and that's Legal Eagles with Robert Redford and Deborah Winger and Daryl Hannah. And it's totally unrealistic because a prosecutor would never become a defense attorney on the very same case and hopefully never sleep with the defendant before he which is why he was no longer a prosecutor. But at any rate, it's a fun movie. It's just a fun one.
Another one from our text line, 478-8298, Pelican Brief was not really a courtroom drama, but it was it was illegal, certainly with the Supreme Court judges being killed and all that.
And I did try to keep it only courtroom dramas on my list.
Yeah,
for example, Aaron Brockovich is not on my list because it didn't end up taking place in the courtroom.
Yeah,
but it is a pretty good.
The Firm's another one we agreed wasn't a very good movie.
Well, that was the worst movie ever made from a book. It's funny how John Grisham books They turned the first one into the worst movie ever. He actually wrote A Time to Kill before The Firm, but The Firm took off as a book, and then A Time to Kill became bigger. But at any rate, right. The Firm worst movie ever made
Time
from
to
a
Kill
book.
with Matthew McConaughey with Samuel Jackson. We mentioned that one. Lincoln, I'm not sure Lincoln was.
The Lincoln Lawyer. That's
like a lawyer would be a good one. So, all right. Which
was also Matthew McConaughey.
We're out of time. Say goodbye, Shane.
Fun topic today.
Thank you, Jennifer. Be happy, be safe, everyone. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, Shane. All right. We got to go. And we appreciate everybody. Thanks for your contributions. And thanks, Jennifer, for being here. Fun hour we had talking movies. And we'll see everybody bright and early Monday morning at 6 a.m. So stay tuned to KMMS for the rest of the day and the week and whatever. And we'll see everybody 6 a.m. Monday morning.